أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن تبعه وله وسلم تسليما كثيرا. أما بعد, we still with the rulings of divorce and talaq في سورة البقرة. Last time we talked about verse 22, 29 and 30, I think. And till the end of this section is all about divorce. So Allah Azza wa Jal said few rules about the divorce. If the divorce happens, it happens 2 times, and the return can happen between the husband and wife after those 2. If the third takes place, then it is a major irrevocable divorce. So they both are not husband and wife anymore. And during the first 2, if the divorce took place and then the iddah finishes, also they are separated. So the wife can marry anyone else if she doesn't want to come back to him. If she does, then the new contract and the new mahar and everything, witnesses and everything. Also, we learned that the divorce should happen not while the woman in the period, not when they had like the relationship and all of that. Also, we learned about khula, that a woman can initiate the divorce with compensation to the husband by returning back to him part or all of the mahar, or extra even, if they agree on that. Women also advised by Allah Azza wa Jal not to hide the time of their period, or to extend or shorten the iddah time. So a woman can extend the iddah time and say, I'm still in my iddah, so she can have money, because the husband has to spend on her and she can stay and all that. Or she can say that, my iddah is finished, so she can marry someone else and all this. So Allah Azza wa Jalla said she's the only one trusted with this. She will the only one who will be believed by this, and this is an amana on her head. If the woman is divorced after three divorces, she cannot come back again to that husband unless she marries someone else. And that marrying of someone else, not for the purpose of going back to the first one. Okay? Because some people would do that. Yeah. Actually, the Sahaba talked about this as well. So
she must marry and sleep with him.
Not only that.
love the person and all.
Yeah, that's right. That's actually what Rasulullah ﷺ said, exactly that statement. Yeah, and there's not only that. The niyyah has to be for a continuous marriage. Yeah, so that is a condition, but the major niyyah is not to bring her back to the first one. So the divorce happened three times, then she cannot go back together. But they want to. So someone comes, a third person comes, and marry her, and then divorce her without having any physical relationship. That's not allowed. All right? Cannot do that. And if he marries her and have the relationship, but their agreement is to go back to the first one, that's not allowed either. Okay, so you understand the point? So whether they do it or they don't do it, why they got married? Why these 2 got married? Why this third person came in the picture here? It has to be a regular marriage, regular everything. The other one is not in the picture here. The first one is not in the picture. He is not making this arrangement. She is not making this arrangement. This guy is not making that arrangement for his friend. And all of this was discussed at the time of Rasulullah ﷺ. Yeah, there is one of the female Sahaba of Rasulullah ﷺ. She was married to Rafa'a ibn Rafi', and then he divorced her 3 times, right? She loved him, she liked him, she loved him, and then he divorced her anyways. So she married another Sahabi, Abdul Rahman ibn Zubayr. But for a reason or another, Abdul Rahman ibn Zubayr divorced her after a couple of days, right? So she goes back to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and she said, I was with Rafa'a, as you know, he divorced me, my iddah finished, he did not return me back, and I married this man and did not get along, and he divorced me before even he touches me. Rahmakumullah. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam smiled at her, and he told her, you want to go back to the first one? You want to go back to Rafa'a, right? She said yes. He said no. It's not going to happen until you have a regular marriage. A regular marriage, and like that, you know. So even though he divorced her, but there was no relationship took place.
So?
No, she cannot go back to the first one. She has to have a full marriage. Full relationship marriage, yeah. Yeah, so this is one. Also people came to that Umar ibn al-Khattab, Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he told them, don't you want me to tell you about the Tays al-Musta'ar? Tays al-Musta'ar is the male animal. You know the animal? Like people have goats or cows or camels and females, right? So they go and get the male from someone else to come and, you know, impregnate those. Yeah. So he said, this, you know, loan, take a borrow, yeah. So they go and said, can we borrow your male animal? So let him with the females for a week or two, and then give him back to. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, this is exactly the man who comes to make the wife go back to her ex-husband. He's like that. He's like that animal, being like that animal, you know. Okay. Because they used to do that in Jahiliyyah. Yeah, so they used to do that. And when the Islam came, make rules, right? So they wanted to do it in an Islamic way. Right? So if someone divorces 3 times, then, you know, he likes his wife, or he regrets, or she regrets, or whatever. So they go back and they bring someone and said, oh, you make the aqd, nikah, and then you divorce her next day or something like that. She waits for the iddah, then she goes back again, new 3 divorces, everything. So it messes up the ruling that Allah Azza wa Jal is making. It's kind of like playing around it. It is, right? So because some people, they don't have deen, they don't have taqwa, and then they will divorce, and then, you know, bring someone, make the aqd, right? And then the wife stays with her parents. She doesn't even go with him, right? And in the morning they bring, you know, him again and say divorce her. He divorces her. She waits for 3 periods, and then they go back to her first husband. That's a game, right? This is playing around. So this is haram as well. Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu anhu said, if anybody brings me those 2, I'm going to stone them.
It's like zina.
Yes, exactly. He said that too. He said it is zina. Because they make arrangements like this. It is not a marriage. Marriage, عقد على الدوام. يعني you make the عقد with the intention that this is a continuous relationship. If something happens, as I was telling you last time, it didn't work, right? If it works, alhamdulillah, who knows? Sometimes someone marries and thinks that it is not going to work, but it ends up working well. Someone marries and perfect choice, everything, and they think it is going to work 100%, but it doesn't work. Right? So marriage has to stay like that. Like this risk-taking, you know? So, and you have to do your effort, and have to believe in Allah. You have to have tawakkul, right? You have to have the right choice. So when we play around with these things, then it doesn't end up well. Okay? So we talked about these things last time. Now, so if that marriage happened, second marriage happens, and then it finishes same way, and they want to go back together, the first husband, then they can go back again if they believe that they will, you know, take care of the hudud of Allah and the rights of Allah and all of that. Now for the woman who is divorced 3 times, she has to wait, you know, the iddah, and then she can marry someone else as well.
The iddah is 3 months, 10 days?
Not 3 months, no. 4 months, 10 days if the husband dies.
Ah,
That's the iddah for the woman that her husband died.
widow.
4 months and 10 days. We'll come to it in a minute. But the iddah of the divorced woman depends. Is she a woman that have the period or she reached menopause? If she is over, she does not have period anymore, then it's 3 months. 3 lunar calendar months. Like Rajab, Sha'ban, Ramadan, Muharram, Safar, yeah, 3 months. But if she is the one that still have the period, then it is 3 periods, right? So it's 3 periods. And 3 periods, the least they can happen in 1 month, and the most they can happen in 1 year. Yeah, so a woman can have the period every 2 months, right? Some women like that say they, 2 months she is no period, and then she will have a period for like 15 days or something. So some women like this, and some women will have a period for 1 day only. So it depends, يعني. So yeah. Allah Azza wa Jal says after that in the there is a point here that Mufassirin mentioned before we go to the next verse. Does the wife have to serve her husband? I know all of you are interested in this one. That when the marriage contract is made, the expectation from house and work and all of that is the woman, like does she have to or not?
Yes.
The scholars differed in this one. Scholars differed in this one. Some of them said that there is no service, the woman doesn't have to, because the marriage contract does not include in it service. Yani it is not a servitude or a service for a fee kind of thing. So when a man marries a wife and he pays her mahar, it is for one purpose. The purpose is to be his wife and bear his children. So I want you to understand that very well. Because if you say that I don't have to serve, you have to know what you have to do. Right? So yeah, okay, we'll agree. So the scholar said, woman is not obligated to serve her husband. Right? In that opinion, saying the aqd of marriage is for the woman to bear the children of the husband. So that's her job. No other job. So it does not say I don't have to serve and I have to go out work and you don't have to tell me what to do. Okay? It doesn't work like this. Yeah, you don't have to serve, but you are available for your husband whenever he wants you, and you are going to bear his children. Now if you can't do any more, he can go have another one. You see the area here?
Yes.
Yeah, so it is like those who say woman does not obligated to serve her husband. They said المرأة للاستمتاع عقد استمتاع not عقد خدمة. So it is the marriage of enjoyment, يعني that he works and he achieves and he does things and he needs a wife to protect him, from doing haram and bear his children. So that's her job. Okay? So there is no khidmah in return. Alright? So this is one opinion. The other said, no, the wife has to have khidmah. She is not 100% obligated, but there is a part of obligation there, which is the necessities of what a house needs. Because the husband expected to be out, right? Working, earning for the family. And the wife is the one staying home. We're talking about the norm, right? The general idea. Yeah. Not American woman, Eastern woman, Western woman versus... We're not talking about that. We're talking about the general rule perceived in history and all of that. We understand it within that. Yeah. So the woman is the one staying home, raising the children and all that. So the obligation on her is to do the necessity. Not the extravagant, not the excessive, not the decoration, this and that, and you have to do this and you have to do that. The necessities of the house. Then some scholars said it depends on how she was raised at her parents' house. Right? So if she's raised at her parents' house, we're all servants serving her, she is like that, okay? And the husband marrying her, then he has to give her the same level. Then he has to bring the servant and all the same thing. That's why in Ahnaf, for example, Hanafi, they make a condition in marriage that they have to be of the same level, the status level. You don't, and a doctor does not marry someone who cleans or sweeps the streets. There's nothing shameful in that, right? Nothing wrong in that. But they will not match. So there have to be matching in the educational level, in the financial level, accepted like that. So Hanafis, they make that condition. And some people, they take Hanafi, said, oh, no condition for wali, right? A woman can marry herself without her father or whatever. Yeah. And people follow that. Some people follow that. That, according to Hanafi, wali is not a condition, right? But according to Hanafi, kafa'a is a condition. There has to be some matching there. Because wali is the one who make sure of that, right? Then if no wali, they want to make it as a condition. Yani wali, I'm the father, right? If someone comes to me and says, oh no, you're not a match for my daughter might be angry, right? But according to the majority of the scholars, I have to be there for the contract to be valid. And I cannot reject just based on my desire. I have a reason, right? Or he does not match you in the religious education. Or he does not match you in the financial, right? And my opinion has to be respected. Now, according to Hanafi school, I am not a condition in the marriage contract. So my daughter can marry without my permission. Okay? But there are other things to still, so she cannot just marry anyone else. She also has to marry someone matching. So if someone is not matching, marriage will not be correct. You see? So anyone can come and say, oh, girl, he's not a match for you. According to the madhab that you rejected your dad, you still cannot marry him. But people take half and leave the other half. Those imams, when they say something, they say it not out of desire. Not to give a girl right that she doesn't have, or give a man right that he doesn't have. No, they understand things, and when they make opinion, they make it, but they make sure it does not damage more than it benefit. So anyways, when the divorce takes, back to our point, when the divorce takes place, we have to understand, what happens. And when the marriage is there, we have to understand what happened. So now, if she is pampered or she's spoiled or, she's used to this rich and wealthy, then we have to match, who's going to marry her, can he afford or not. Now, if she agrees to marry someone lesser, then she is giving up that right, which is okay, right? And it happened also at the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when his cousin Zainab bint Jahsh, who later became his wife, he ordered her to marry Zayd ibn Haritha. Zayd ibn Haritha was slave servant of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, freed, and he's not that rich, and he's not from a family of Quraysh. He's not from Bani Hashim, right? The best of the best, Not, and this never happened in their history that they can marry anyone else, It's another person. They have to be matching. But Rasulullah ordered her to marry him. And she married him, obedience of Rasulullah. But they fight every day. She's not happy. Yeah, and she was very beautiful. And she was like the goal of any man, like wishes. Yeah, that she marries him, Zainab. But she obeyed Rasul. She obeyed Allah and the Rasul. This was an order. As we said before, Rasul, if he ordered something, even in the personal affairs, it has to be followed. Because there is a bigger goal after that. And there was. The freed slave, if the master give him his name, like Rasulullah called him, you are my adopted child, Zayd ibn Muhammad, right? He takes all the rulings. That means he become a mahram to Fatima, Ruqayya, Kulthum, his wife, everything like a son, exactly like what a son is. Okay? Now, if Zayd marries someone, Rasulullah cannot marry later because it's his daughter-in-law, right? Yes? So now, Allah Azza wa Jal ordered Rasulullah to order Zainab to marry Zayd. He married her, right? Still, even he was happy and laughing, right? But she's not. So then Rasulullah said, you stay. And he is keeping telling them. But Rasulullah knows that there is a bigger rule will change. But he's still telling him, you stay together and all that. Then Allah Azza wa Jal said, no, khalas. He divorces her. So they divorced. Then Allah ordered the Rasulullah to marry Zainab. Yeah, to marry Zainab after her iddah finished. And Rasulullah was, I don't know how I'm going to say that to people. Right? I'm marrying my daughter-in-law after her iddah finished. This is too much, right? So Allah did two things. Revealed the Quran and said to Rasulullah, you are hiding what Allah wanted to be out, right? It's not like he likes Zainab and all of these people say, no. It's like hiding this, how I'm going to say that rule to people, right? So Allah Azza wa Jalla said, no, you deliver the rule, and he delivered it, right? Quran, he has to deliver it. So Allah made two things. The adoption is not Islam. No more adoption. Yeah, no more adoption. Adoption is different from your son is the biological son. No other person can be called your son or daughter except your biological one. Right? So Zayd is not your son. So if he divorces someone, you marry her, and you have to marry her to make this rule clear to everybody. Because if he did not do it, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, still people will say, okay, he's not my adopted son, but I was still not marry that wife, right? Because I don't know. Okay? But Rasulullah did it. And that's why the reason for that marriage, right? Yeah. Even Zainab, when he went to Rasulullah to propose, she was thinking that he's proposing for himself. When he went to the house to ask for her hand for Zayd, she was thinking that he's asking for himself. Yeah, that's why she became mad, when he told her it is for Zayd. So anyways, they divorced her, and then Iddah finished. Then Rasulullah married Zainab bint Jahsh, his cousin, first cousin. He married her, and the rule was voided after that. No adoption. Somebody can adopt, meaning take care of someone, live with them and all that, no problem. But the rules of mahram, hijab, all of this stays the same. So it's not prohibited. Right? Unless she breastfeed. Then it's fine. That's why we advise always, when somebody who does not have children or they want to adopt someone young. And the woman can breastfeed. And there are hormones and medicine that can bring the milk, right? So she can breastfeed the child, and they become her child. Her husband become like his father, and all the mahram thing solved, right?
So that way you adopt the child, that way young, you breastfeed the child, so this is your real child, the child has a right of inheritance?
No.
Because it's still adopt
child. No inheritance, no other things. Does not even take the name. It's not supposed to take the name. We are talking only about the comfort of mahram, non-mahram issue. Milk will solve that one, but nothing will solve that carrying the name and inheritance and nothing. Biological son and daughter only carries the name, only have the inheritance rules, only those, right? Because there are few issues. One, carrying the name and being treated like a son. Two, how will be dealing male and female relationship, right? So then the marriage part. So the three issues: carrying the name, marrying who, and being comfortable with who. Like, who can be wearing hijab and not boy and girl, right? Because if I adopt a girl now, a girl, right? Who's not young or anything, and then she reached the age of puberty, who is she to me now?
Can you marry her?
Yes. Yeah, because it's not blood, and it's not my daughter's girl from another person, for example. And if a woman having a daughter, and then she married to a man, right? That daughter become haram on the man. Yeah, haram on him. He cannot marry her. خلاص. Forever. Forever haram on him. Yeah, she can without hijab and everything. No problem. It's not his daughter. He cannot marry her. That's it. Same thing, if he marries someone, the mother-in-law become haram forever too. Same way. Even if the divorce happens. Even if divorce happens, cannot marry his ex-mother-in-law. If the divorce happens, cannot marry his ex-daughter-in-law. Okay? Haram forever, yeah. That's the issue. But we are saying if a little girl I adopt a little girl. She's little now, right? 5 years, 6 years, 10 years, whatever. Now what if she's 16, 18? She has to wear hijab in front of me. And I cannot be alone with her. We cannot travel together. Even if you give name and all that, that's un-Islamic. It's un-Islamic. Alright? And Amja make a big case of this one. Says no adoption in Islam. Yes, you take care of an orphan, you take care of a child, you feed them, but it does not make them your daughter or your son. Same thing if we adopt a boy and he reaches the age of puberty, then who is he to my wife? Who is he to my daughters? It's a problem, right?
He can marry your daughter. He can marry.
Yes, absolutely.
But not your wife. He can marry your wife if your wife is divorced.
Divorced from who? Yeah, hypothetically speaking, yes. Yeah, I know what you're saying. So hypothetically speaking, yes. So, huh? Yeah, so it's like that. So Islam make those rules very clear, so not to be transgressed for the wisdom of Allah Azza wa Jal. So adoption is haram in Islam. Now the solution for that is what? Is to if the adoption has to be made, then get a little child, right? And as I said, breastfeed and, or if it's an older lady, she had daughters. Those daughters married, right? They get like someone, and one of the daughters breastfeed, right? So she becomes the grandmother of that. No problem, yani. Someone has to make mahram, right? So, but that breastfeeding is for this mahram relationship only. Okay? So that child cannot marry from the same circle a biological one would do. And then there is a convenience issue. Oh, this is the mother, this is the daughter, this is the niece, this is the nephew. Same rule like blood relationship applies in the matters of how we deal. Okay? And whom to marry and whom not to marry. That's what milk does, right? Other than that, it does not add anything for inheritance or rulings, right? Other rulings. طيب, what if this the only way to happen is to give the name? Like here in the United States, right? You have to give the name and all of that. Then they said if it is the ultimate amja, yani the fatwa, if it is the ultimate need and necessity, this can be done, but there has to be some papers written, like Islamic papers written, that that's not the biological son, because you don't want after a couple of generations that the things go that way. Yeah, and in inheritance, I'm giving wasiyah. You can give wasiyah to that person, a share of such and such. So they not get into the division of the inheritance, but they get actually first. They will get before everybody else. You see, so actually they favored, So you give it. But the name is not to be given unless it is legally must to do it, and not considered a biological son, or does not carry the name and all of that.
So Sheikh, I have a quick question.
Sure.
In here, I think I've heard like women donating their breast milk because it's good for babies.
But that's bad.
That's not good, right?
That's not allowed.
In Muslim, it's not good because that makes that your child.
Yes, but that's not allowed. You don't know whose milk is that. That's haram to do. You cannot do that. You cannot donate and you don't know who's going to drink it. And you cannot get milk, you don't know from who. Yeah.
So the milk is very important because
of course, if a child drinks the milk of a woman, that woman becomes his or her mother from rida', nursing mother. And then all her children become forbidden on him or her. Her husband become like his milk father. His brother become his and the sons become the cousins, and her nieces become like that. So the whole network will take the shape exactly like the blood relationship. So that's what's very important. Okay, it's very important to know who's who. So if a woman breastfeeds another child, she has to make it known, okay? And everybody has to act accordingly. Now, how many times? 3 times. Some says 5 times, some says 3 times. Yani 3 sessions. 3 sessions of breastfeeding. It makes for prohibition. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because somebody taking a sip is not a, and 1 session does not do anything, but 3 sessions, actually now it is helping the nutrition and the growth of that child. So it is in the bone, in the blood, in the flesh and everything. He had the DNA of that lady now. Yeah. So the khidmah, we understand the service part. Yeah. So it is like that. And the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam actually told Fatima radiallahu anha, when she came and complained to him, and she said, I married Ali, your cousin, and all that is good and all this, but I work too much until see my hands, and she was in the house of her father very easy, right? And he married her young, and then she said, my hands and all calloused and all this, and I'm tired and all of that. So if you get a servant, we need one slave, or someone to help us with the housework and all that. So Rasulullah said, okay. Then later at night, he goes to their house, right? And he tell her, I tell you something, before you sleep, you say Subhanallah 33 times, say Alhamdulillah 33 times, say Allahu Akbar 33 times, 34 times. Inshallah, Allah will make you happy. And they never give them a servant or anything like that. So yeah, so he's actually telling her that you got to continue working, right? That's what the message was, It's your part you have to do. The wives of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam used also to cook and bake and clean and sweep and bring the water and do all of those things. So Rasulullah told Ali ibn Abi Talib, your job is to be outside, exactly like that, and Fatima, your job is to be inside. So the other scholar said, the woman is obligated to work and to take care of her house as well. So that debate is there, but you be careful what to choose, right? Yeah, so when the work, woman doing this and the man doing that, so there's a kind of equality there, balancing. If now the woman goes out to work and the husband knows, they have to also agree what to do, right? But it does not give, like once the woman will go work outside, she come to her husband and said, okay, we both work outside, so we both have to work inside as well. No, right? That's not right. You're working outside. If the husband says no work outside, he has the right for that, for his wife to stay inside. Then she tells him, okay, I'll stay inside, but you give me a servant, right? It goes both ways, right? Between both. So no one can abuse the issue, right? Yeah. So, it's a matter of agreement. We know the things. No obligation. It's not a slavery contract, and it's not like who's the boss of who. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, if the divorce happened, verse 131, before the iddah finish, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, amsikuhunna, hold them by doing raj'ah, by bringing the wife back, right? We said before, revocable. Revocable means first divorce or second divorce. That means there can be return, right? So Allah Azza wa Jalla said, when the iddah is about to finish, you have to make up your mind. That's what this verse is talking about, right? So one of two things. It's either amsikuhunna bima'roof, without harm. Okay? I told you before, the Jahiliyyah, before the iddah finish, they used to bring the wife back, okay, to extend, so she cannot marry someone else. And so Allah said, you don't do it because of that. If during the period you found that was not right and all of this, and let's fix this, alhamdulillah, amsikuhunna bima'roof. If you find that this divorce was happening because it's not working, Allah Azza wa Jal said, أو سرحوهن بمعروف. فامسكوهن بمعروف أو سرحوهن بإحسان. إحسان يعني extra.
How about if the one doesn't mind?
But that's why she has to. We talked about that last time. Nobody can force anyone to stay without. So number one, she has to decide that why she doesn't want, or why he doesn't want, because you don't want the dhulm to happen, keeping, and you don't want dhulm to happen, abandoning, right? So it's not happening because of some desire or whatever, right? So yeah, nobody have a perfect whatever they want, everything that they like. There's no such a thing. So if she doesn't like, then fine. Nobody can force her. Oh, I don't like. So it's between you and Allah, that part. Allah will account you for if you are doing it to hurt him, or doing it to harm him, or doing it to threaten him, or doing whatever, the reason. And if you are doing it because there is someone else in the picture or whatever, right? But if she doesn't want, and there is some religious ground for it, or she's afraid that I cannot live with this for a reason or another, she can get out. And if he refuses, the judge will divorce her. And that's where the khula' comes in place. I will give up everything but divorce me, right?
No, what I'm trying to say is if the wife doesn't mind, it doesn't fit. The husband said, okay, I can extend another 4 months. After 4 months, I extend another 4 months. And the wife said,
But that's what we're saying. Last time, the period is not 4 months, it is 3 periods. And as I said, 3 periods can happen within 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, or 1 year. It depends on her period, right? So it's not about 3 months. That's number one. And then number two, which was a very important point I emphasized more than one time last time. I said the first divorce and second divorce is a 2-stage process. I said that. 2-stage process. When the husband said the divorce, it doesn't mean, okay, I don't like you anymore, and she runs. It does not work like that. He said the divorce, but the divorce is not effective yet. So you're still a wife. Okay, you are still a wife. Forget about what was said. Right? When it would be valid? After the 3 periods. Then you have the decision-making ability, right? But in that stage, it's exactly before the word of divorce was said. Right? So you don't like now, or you don't like before is the same. Right? But now you don't like because he said the word of divorce. That's why you are mad. That's why the wife is not happy. Right? Because the word of divorce said, she said, in return or in retaliation, I don't want to go back to you. Right? But we have to deal with the psychological thing. Okay, she doesn't like him, but she was staying with him. Right? Now he said the word of divorce. Okay? What did it change now? Nothing changed at all yet. Nothing changed yet at all. Nothing. The day before the divorce is exactly like the same after the first. Same rights. At the house, you cannot leave the house, you will cook, you will clean, if you are doing everything is the same. But there is some word was said here, right? That word was said while he's angry or whatever, Allah Azza wa Jalla account him for it. If he was, whatever he was saying it, again, it's between him and Allah, punished or whatever, right? So this is a word said now. But that word carries some rules, okay? Those rules, nobody talks about them before the three period finish. Okay? It's like somebody tells you, I will divorce you. What does that change? Nothing. I will, right? Right? That changed nothing. But she's mad now because he threatened her, right? Yeah, it's not nice, absolutely. But what Islamically can be done for that not nice word? Nothing. Okay? Except if he's doing other things. If he's abusive, if he's this or that, then that's another case. Okay? But husband and wife always say bad things to each other, right? They always do. And that's one of them. And that's one of them. The word of divorce is one of them. I will divorce is one of them. Yeah, right, wrong, that's beside the point. But what comes as a result is we need to know. That divorce is just a word until 3 periods finish.
So that it's not divorce.
Yeah, because the women are stuck with the issues like, he divorced me, why he has the right to return me? He said the word of divorce, but you are not divorced yet. So that's what I'm trying to say. That women like a husband they divorce, and she said, well, I don't want to sit with him anymore. ليه يا أختي? Why, my sister? Because he divorced me. He has not divorced you, for God's sake, yet. The word is said, but the divorce did not happen.
Because that cycle
Yes.
period has not happened.
Yeah, that's why the right of the husband. That's why we said the right of the husband does not like he's a master now. No. What we say the right of the husband is like it starts from the word of divorce until 3 periods. That's your time. Giving him a chance to reclaim this marriage again, to fix the family, to go back to his senses, all of that. You should not have, it's like Allah will say, you should not have done that without a reason, right? So you have still a chance to bring this family back again. Yeah, but if every time a person says divorce and the woman walks away, half of the half of the world is divorced. So then, the return comes. Think about it rationally. Don't think about it emotionally. If it is emotionally, believe me, 90% of the house is destroyed.
Yes. So, greatly to say, Sheikh, so we women, when a man lafaz divorce, we have the upper hand to say, you said it, so to make things better during this Eda period of 3 cycle, is the man's job or the woman's job to make this marriage better?
Both.
Both.
The iddah is for both. No upper hand for anyone.
upper hand for
No.
So you continue having relationship and all that stuff.
Actually, that's the way iddah is for. The iddah is for that, the reconciliation. That she's in front of him, he's in front of her to regret. Everybody think opposite. Ajib, wallahi, all the cultures like that, they think opposite. Yani Allah make this iddah is not for the man, oh I am the man, you're my slave, you're going to stay there. It's not like that. And it's not for her to say, no, you divorce me, I don't want to live with you anymore, I hate you, whatever.
But Sheikh,
No.
can we have the intimacy relationship?
But that, good question. Actually, during the period, right, of time, if they have a relationship, they're already back together. Khalas.
So it's not when the man say, I divorce you, the talak jatuh.
No!
This is the thinking of Malaysian people.
No! Divorce happened, and if there is no relationship, nothing during the iddah, and the iddah finished, then the divorce becomes effective now. Before that's not effective. Actually, the whole point for that iddah is to make up as soon as possible. And actually the scholars advise if it is like a natural family, but some problems erupted and they ended up with the word of divorce said. Right? So this family is normally okay family. We're not saying the ideal family, but it's an okay. It's functioning okay. But some turbulence happened and ended up, turbulence happened with all of us, but not necessarily ends with divorce, right? But if it does, so the iddah period is to bring that back, right? And the scholar said the wife has to actually give extra care, to herself and to her husband and all of that, and they get close to each other. So he's looking at her, she's looking at him. Okay, what we did, let's fix this. So if you tell her, you know what, I return you back. Khalas, it's done by word, or by intimacy, or by kiss, or by a hug, or whatever it is, right? So they go back together and that's it.
So the word, then
But it counts one divorce, yeah. One divorce is counted. Yeah, talaq, one divorce is counted. Once he said it, it counts as one. But it's not effective yet.
But better don't play around with this word, because if the man
Exactly. Yeah, of course. And every time we go back and we divorce again next day, and we go back and divorce again next day, of course. It has to count one.
So for the woman, don't say that to the man too.
Well, actually, if Allah gave that right to the woman, it would have been said every day.
That's why Allah give it to the man.
Yeah, he's like, where are you? Oh, I am stuck in the traffic. You told me that you're gonna come early. Talak. You promised me to take me to the mall. Talak. Where is my new credit card? Talak. All the time. So it's like, yeah. So be careful, with that.
So that's the time kau balik lelaki kau lah, seduce lelaki dia.
So Allah Azza wa Jal make this marriage based on rahmah and respect. That's why Allah Azza wa Jal said, وَجَعْلَ بَيْنَكُمْ مَوَدَّةً وَرَحْمَةً. Allah make between you mawadda, this compassion, and rahmah, mercy. So we are merciful to each other and all of that to prevent this talaq from happening. And even in talaq, it has to be done with rahmah as well. So, but we understand this concept of a talaq, it's a two-phase, two-stage process. So when it is said, yeah, he should say it, he shouldn't say it, he's sinful, he's not sinful, that's between him and Rabb al-Alameen, right? Like a woman asking for divorce without a reason. It will be granted, but it is between her and Rabb al-Alameen. You understand the balance here? So don't mix the things together. So if it is said, it does not give the wife the right to abandon the marriage. Actually, you are obligated to do the opposite, to hold to that marriage and not be mad personally because the word of divorce is said or made. Okay?
It's a heavy word for women.
Even sometimes a person comes to me, for example, and they say, my wife keep asking for divorce all the time and all of that. And this and this. I said, divorce her. Yeah, divorce her.
Because she wants it. So
She wants it, divorce her. Most of the time, one of two things happen. Right? He gets scared. He gets scared. So that's a good thing. That means you are going to deal with it. And get closer to your wife and see what makes her asking you that and eliminate it. Then she will stop asking you. Right? There has to be a reason. So he gets scared. Now, if he's right, he had the guts, he will divorce her. Right? And she will be straight. Ala tool. That's the other way. She will be straight. And this happens, many times. So, either he gets scared and he said, well, I know that I'm doing this and this and then that she's keep asking for it. I said, okay, stop it. And he will work his marriage. All right? Because he doesn't want to count one and he feels, which is a good thing. Now, if she is the one at fault and he's a good person, so divorce her. تأديب يعني one of the... And he divorces her, and during the iddah, she comes back, alhamdulillah, the family intercede, and they go straight forward. So sometimes it takes a divorce to make a marriage work. You don't know, in the Sheikh's realm, there is a different vision. You look at things in a completely different way. So there are things done. And Allah Azza wa Jalla did not make those rules haphazard. What works for you doesn't work for others. And what works for others doesn't work for you. And people have different levels of education, different level of fear, different level of respect to the family, different cultures, right? They have different levels of piety. People have different. So what works for someone doesn't necessarily work for others. So Allah Azza wa Jal said you have to make up your mind whether you keep with goodness, ma'ruf, or you leave with ihsan. And ihsan here mentioned with divorce. It is not mentioned with keeping. With staying, Allah Azza wa Jal said bil ma'ruf. Reasonably. If you return back reasonably, everybody knows the rights and everything. But now, if the divorce happens, there will be no more rights. We will be strangers, right? Then Allah Azza wa Jal said, for the husband, you have to deal with ihsan. Ihsan means give extra. Right? This is your mahar, mu'akhar, this is your right, and this is even extra. May Allah be with you. Why? If this takes place, that means that divorce was good for both of them. If Allah Azza wa Jal telling us that means that divorce was a necessity for both of them. They are good people. But normally people don't do ihsan after divorce because of this. That the divorce was made irrationally. It's like a fight. Everyone wants to hurt the other as much as they can. But see, Allah put ihsan with divorce. For two reasons. One, that divorce will not happen except if it is ultimately necessary. Right? Number two, when it happens, everybody is wishing the other best. That means we both, good people, we both respect each other, but we cannot work together. You see, divorce, very limited, isn't it? If we think about it like that, it becomes very, very limited. Okay, that's why we tell the husband, be careful and don't abuse that right. Okay? And we tell the wife, be careful and don't abuse the emotions, right? And say, divorce, I want divorce, I want divorce, I want divorce. Because one day it's going to happen. It is going to happen, and then you will regret it more than anyone else. Right? Because as I said, nobody can force someone who doesn't want to live. Right? You're a good person, stay a good person. And sometimes when the cloud of anger goes away, then we can see better. Right? So wait until that time. That's why Allah Azza wa Jal said, وَلَا تَتَّخِذُوا آيَاتِ اللَّهِ هُزُوًا. Don't play around with the words of Allah. As I told you in Jahiliyyah, a person divorces his wife, then before the iddah finish, he return her back. Then divorce her again because there was no timing, one time, two time, all of that. Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said 3 things. When you are serious, they are effective, and when you are joking, they are also effective. Alright? At-talaq, divorce. والنكاح, marriage. والرجعة, return. يعني a person divorces his wife while they are joking, she is divorced. Right? If he returns her back jokingly, she is returned. Right? The raj'a, like we said, this during the period, there is no joke around it. يعني when somebody said, oh, why you divorce your wife and everything? Okay, I return her. She's returned. Right? He cannot come back and say, no, I'm not returning. She's still in her iddah and I'm going to make this divorce finish. Right? He cannot. So, joking or not joking, it's effective. Both the word of divorce and the word of raj'a and the word of marriage as well. I told you before that somebody cannot marry his daughter to someone jokingly. Yeah. You want to marry my daughter? If he say yes, and the shuhud and the witnesses are there, and the girl said, yeah, I like him, khalas, marriage is done. Then you have a problem, right? You have a big problem. So people joke about that sometimes, right? And they go and to families, inshallah, your daughter is for my son, and my son will marry your daughter. Okay? If the agreement is made and then the girl agrees, she's married to him, even if she did not reach puberty. Yes. Even if she is 11-year-old, 12-year-old, 13-year-old, like that, and the boy is like adult, you have a problem. So don't do that. Right? So don't joke with these things and don't play around with it. Yeah, so if I'm adult and then I go and I'm sitting with someone and they have a girl, and that girl 12-year-old, 13-year-old, 14-year-old, and all of that. Now, consummating the marriage is a different issue. Legal is a different issue. I'm talking from Islamic perspective now. Can we do it or not? This is another deal, right? What society agrees on, all that. But we're talking about that if he's there and then he says, yeah, Sheikh, I want to marry my daughter to you. Okay? And then I said, I accept. And the girl said, yeah, I accept too, I like the Sheikh. Khalas, she's married. Yes. Right? So those words are not easy to play with. Okay? Yeah. Don't worry, I'm not going to accept.
Even for good curry.
No. نعم صحيح يعني so nobody should play around with it. And I get a call recently. Someone says, I was joking with my wife and I divorced her jokingly. Does it work? I said, yeah, absolutely it works. And if you are here, I'm going to slap you in the face. I told him, like that. If you are in front of me, I'm going to slap you. And no, I'm not going to slap anybody in the face, but I said it out of anger, Are you kidding? You really did that? He said, yes, wallah, Sheikh, I was laughing. I said, and you're laughing with me too? Wallah, people do that. And you can see his wife laughing on the other, beside she was laughing too. She was not like, I don't know what the parents married those two.
But shit,
I don't want to say the bad word for them, but...
When this man has said, I divorce you, and this is now we have learned that this is the time the two should reconcile, and do they need to nikah again in front of the Qadi?
No.
No.
Except if the iddah finish before they return back.
if the iddah is finished and they are still, then they reconcile after the iddah?
Then nikah, everything.
But it's before the iddah, before the 3 cycle period, they have made up.
Yeah.
Oh, then they don't need the official.
No, they don't need it. Nobody actually need to know about it.
Nobody needs to know about it.
Yeah.
Be private.
Some scholars said, yeah, you have to make witnesses. Some scholars said you have to make witnesses for both the divorce and the raja. So make 2 witnesses and said, today I divorced my wife and today I returned her, something like that. Yeah, so because you don't know who's going to die, who's going to, what happened at that time.
Before iddah, it's okay.
Well, with friends, right, jokingly again about marriage, the son and the daughter thing. So, but we didn't know about this. So what we have to do?
No, nothing.
Nothing.
You don't know. Now you know.
Yeah.
So you be careful when you know.
Yeah, I remember when you thought.
Yeah, because people, when they don't know the rule, they...
But will that be a different hukum for those who do not have any knowledge about it?
Yeah.
Will that be affected?
Yeah, we talk about that. We said, do you know, you didn't know, somebody told you before, this and that. Yeah. Absolutely, yes.
It's important because it's a contract, it's a session, it's a contract of marriage. Jokingly.
I didn't realize this divorce is so.
I don't know until now. I'm glad.
It's a time of reconciliation.
Yeah.
In Malaysia, when the husband say that, the woman will
Pack up
pack up the bag and go back home. Then there's really, there's no chance to reconcile.
Yeah, there is a...
just hate each other and then they
become enemy for life.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why talaq is not supposed to be enemy. And that's why Allah Azza wa Jalla said, ma'roof, ihsan. And then Allah said, don't hold them to transgress, as we explained before, like he returning his wife to punish her more, right? So that he said the word of divorce. Allah Azza wa Jalla is telling us, if the husband said the word of divorce and he intends to finish it, right? So don't return her back. Why you have to return her back? You understand? So during the time, Allah gave you right, Allah gave you authority, but don't abuse it. Like he divorced the wife, and he knows that he's not going to return. There's no way. So that's it. Leave until the iddah finish and let her go. Okay? Don't come one day before the iddah finish and return her back. While you know it is not good. That's not right. You see? So it's not right. Allah Azza wa Jalla is talking to the husband from that perspective as well. So, in Sahih al-Bukhari narrated also a story that Ma'qal ibn Yasar, one of the companions of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he married his sister to another man. Someone married his sister, and then he divorced her, one divorce, after a while, right? And he did not return during the iddah. So now she's out. And now people coming to propose. She has suitors, right? And he come among the suitors. Yeah, this is the way, right? He wants her again, right? He loved her and he wants her again, right? And she actually also had feeling for him too. Okay? He knew, otherwise he wouldn't propose, right? But it was a mistake. Let's say he made a mistake by divorcing her, and he made a mistake by letting her iddah finish. So he lost his golden ticket. So now she's free to choose whomever she wants. But they have feelings for each other. But her brother was the one in the middle, right? So he goes among the suitors, proposing for her again. So he insulted him, He told him, I honored you and I give you my sister and you did not honor her and you divorced her and you let her iddah finish. And now you're coming, Wallahi, I will not give her back to you again. Right? This ayah was revealed because of that. He said, وَبُعُولَتُهُنَّ أَحَقُّ بِرَدِّهِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ إِنْ أَرَادُوا إِصْلَاحًا. don't ولا تعضلوهن أن ينكحن أزواجهن إذا تراضوا بينهم بالمعروف. One is during the iddah time, the family should not be forcing the wife to get out. Okay? And this is the duty of the community, because sometimes when a divorce happens, subhanallah, everybody whisper in the ear of the wife. Oh, he's bad. How come he says that? You also have honor. You also have freedom. Like this. So she leaves that, and she's the only one who regrets. and everybody at the end say, Subhanallah, Alhamdulillah, you know, that's what people will do to you. They will not support you or anything like that. Look, miskeen, wallah, you are miskeen, like that. What they gonna do to you? You listen to them, right? And who is going to be affected, positive or negative? The girl. Why? Not anybody else. They give you the advice or they give you the waswas. You listen to either. Like some people will tell you, Ittaqillah, stay, it's good, give another chance. Some people will do that. Other people, they will say the opposite. And you're the one who will decide which one to follow, and you're the one who will be thankful or regretful. That's it. Right? And those who give you the advice, you'll tell, thank you, Jazakallah khair, Alhamdulillah, good relationship. But the other ones will be the first one to disassociate. Oh, we didn't mean it, we just was talking, we were talking. We don't know about your details. We were saying suggestions. You are the one who chose, don't blame us. على طول. Like الشيطان يوم القيامة. Right? So be careful with that. That's during the iddah. Now after the iddah, if they want to go back together, and you see the maslaha, he's not like a sinner or she is bad or anything like that, don't stand in the way either. But Allah is giving the wali, you know that, and said, yeah, you are the wali, you are the one who will approve the marriage, but don't stand in the way of those two coming back together. Even the period is finished, right? So Allah Azza wa Jalla is saying, because of that story, He says, وَلَا تَعْضُلُوهُنَّ أَنْ يَنْكِحْنَ أَزْوَاجَهُنَّ, to go back to their ex-husband. يعني إذا تراضوا بينهم بالمعروف, if there is some, you know, taradi and some feelings and all that. Yeah, so subhanallah, divorce is like a very hard subject, but when you see the details of it, you see lots of rahmah in it. It is not meant to be punishment, and it is not meant to be a bad thing, but only in a necessary time. So if the abuse happens, that's when the talaq become used wrongly. When it's abused from husband, from wife, from family of husband, from family of wife, from the community, from the society, then the talaq become abused. But the talaq is made there as the last solution for two good souls, two people that couldn't work together. They will damage each other, right? So the divorce happened because of that. But unfortunately, it's not used like this at all, yeah. There is الإمساك بالمعروف. إمساك بالمعروف means keeping the relationship with معروف. معروف. What is the meaning of معروف? Meaning everyone fulfilling their duties. The word معروف in the Quran means fulfilling the duties and giving the rights. That's the word معروف. When you see Allah said, keep them with معروف. Keep your wives with al-ma'ruf. What does that mean? Means giving them the rights and ask for your duties politely and nicely, right? So it's a duty, right, kind of exchange. That's what al-ma'ruf is. And also ma'ruf here according to what is commonly agreed on. Okay? So when I marry, I'm expecting, when I come, I find a meal cooked, you know, find this and that. It's not, as I said, that it's your duty as a servant. No, but there is expectation. There is expectation from the wife to the husband. That's how she was raised in her parents' house. There is expectation from me, from my wife. So this is ma'ruf as well. No exaggeration and no less. Okay? So if the husband did not ask for much, it doesn't mean that it's cancelled. Right? So if the husband doesn't ask for certain things that husband asks for from their wives, doesn't make the wife here, he said, you forfeited that right, you cannot come and ask me about it. No, she should do it willingly and nicely, right? And marriage is not like a clear-cut, black and white, you know, precise. It doesn't work like that. It give and take, you know. Yeah. So this is ma'ruf. Now, ma'ruf also is financially. The husband has to spend on the wife what supposed to make her live honorably, right? Not extravagantly, but honorably. Like, you know, If the husband cannot find nafaqa, poor to the point that she's gonna starve with him, she can ask for divorce. Right? That's one reason to ask for divorce. And this is the majority of the scholars agreed on that. Now, if the divorce happens, Allah called it تسريح بإحسان, يعني without harm, without harming. نعم. في الثانية إمساك بمعروف أو تسريح بإحسان. الطلاق مرتان فإمساك بمعروف أو تسريح بإحسان. Now we're talking about now all 4 ayahs together. Right? There are 4 ayahs, 5 ayahs of talaq from والمطلقات يتربصن, like 28, right? Then the next one الطلاق مرتان, isn't it? Then after that what? فإن طلقها, yes? And then after that والمطلقات, right? Until like 32, correct? The end of section يعني لغاية والوالدات. We are talking about all of those together. Alright, let's take inshallah what we benefit from all this section. When was the last time that we took some benefits? 222? To 218, huh? 219?
Yes.
So from 220 we didn't, huh?
With benefit 189, right? 189, and then there's no benefit after that.
Huh? From what?
Right?
What?
189, then there's no benefit after 189.
There
No.
is
There is?
204 to 218 or 218. 218. 204 to 218.
Yeah, I gave you a few lessons that we learned, right?
Oh yeah, that 218, yeah, I didn't take it down.
Okay.
So 218 was the last, yes.
Okay. The importance of taking care of orphans. The importance of taking care of orphans and managing their wealth properly. The importance of taking care of orphans and managing their wealth properly. Permission, next one. The permission to marry the women of the book, means Jews or Christians, right? With conditions. This is very important, the word with conditions, right? The permission to marry the women of the book, Jews or Christians, with conditions. The condition is that she's chaste, she's, all of that. And the kids have to follow the father's religion. We talked about this, alhamdulillah. And of course, the opposite is not permissible. A Muslim woman cannot marry prohibition of, you can write that. The prohibition of marrying the men of the book for the Muslim women. Prohibition of marrying the men other than Muslim. The prohibition of marrying non-Muslim men for the Muslim woman. prohibition of marrying non-Muslim men for the Muslim women. And we talked about the hikmah also, that always the man is the one that, you know, the kids carry the name of the religion of and all that. The importance or the importance of wali in marriage, the importance of the wali or the guardian for the woman in marriage, the importance and the necessity, importance and necessity of guardian or wali for a woman in marriage. Now we get to 222, 223, okay? Prohibition of sexual relation during the period for women. And when we say that, that means, you know, we're not saying that they're supposed to be physically away from each other, but we are talking about the intercourse only, right? But anything else is okay, inshallah. That's the prohibition part, is the intercourse. The least of haid is 1 day and 1 night. Least of period, huh? The least of the period is 1 day and 1 night, and the most is 15 days. The least is 1 day and 1 night, and the most is 15 days. Of course, this will make a difference in what you consider bleeding more than 15. You could pray and fast and all that, and what is less does not count as haid, you know. Of course, this is difference of opinions, but I'm giving you both sides, you know. So. Now, the blood, this is for your information, and the bleeding of haid and the nifas, the bleeding of the period, and the post, birth, they forbid 11 things.
See?
They forbid 11 things. 11 things.
11.
11, yeah. Wujub al-salah, prayer, and its validity. Those are jurisprudence terminology, right? So salah is not wajib on you, and if it is done, it is not correct. That's the second one, right? So number 1, wujub of salah is not there. Sihha of salah is not there. So if someone prays, it is not there. Fasting, right? Sexual relationship. Yeah. العدة, يعني it would prohibit العدة, because العدة has to be in the cleaning time according to the opinion, right? There is opinion. Talaq cannot be done while the woman in the period or in fast. Tawaf, right? Touching of the mushaf. And there is debate in that one, but this is the majority of the scholars. Touching the mushaf, touching Quran. Entering the musalla, masjid. I'tikaf in the masjid. Recitation of the Quran without mushaf, recitation of the Quran according to the majority. It also prohibits or يعني دم الاستحاضة means cannot be considered other than haid. And this bleeding, right, prohibits any other bleeding except that bleeding. يعني while the woman in her period, nobody can say this is the bleeding of not period, right? Within the 15 days, like if bleeding continues within 15 days, we are prohibited to call it any other than this, right? Bleeding. How many? Those?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Yeah, I told you the salah has two. The salah has obligation of salah is obligation of salah and the validity of salah. So salah has two of them. Did you write two about salah? No. And then fasting and the intercourse and the iddah and the talaq, tawaf, touching the mushaf, entering the masjid, making i'tikaf, recitation of the Quran, and the bleeding of istihada. يمتنع يعني you cannot call this bleeding other than haid. That's what it means. So it's 11. 11 things you are prevented from doing or saying يعني like you cannot call this other than istihada. That's 1. You cannot pray. That's 2. If you pray, it is not valid. That's 3. You cannot fast. You cannot have intercourse. You cannot have the iddah at that. You cannot do talaq. You cannot do tawaf. You are prevented from touching the mushaf, entering the masjid, making i'tikaf, recitation of the Quran according to one of the opinions. That's 11, right?
So I have a question.
Yes.
When I did Hajj, I had a menstruation,
Okay.
and it came almost the very last day.
Okay.
And when I do the tawaf
Wada'.
with that, I have to do it.
Okay.
And I still have a little bit,
Okay.
but not much. And so what I did is I went to the haram, I went downstairs, I took my major shower, everything,
Okay.
and then I did my tawaf with that.
Okay. First, the tawaf al-wada' is not a must on a woman in her period. At all. Yani she can leave without doing it. Tawaf al-wada'. If the woman in her bleeding. Yeah, farewell tawaf. This case only is done at tawaf al-rukn. Yani the tawaf of hajj. Your tawaf of umrah or your tawaf.
Sorry, I take it back. This was because I did not complete my hajj. Because I have this mentioned, so our very last day already, we have to go.
Okay, that's fine. So you're combining.
Yes, I did both.
Yeah, that's fine. You did great. So that's why I'm saying it is tawaf al-rukn or tawaf of the hajj is a must on everybody, right? So if a woman in her period, she delays it, right, until everybody will leave, okay? And now if one of two things, either she leaves without doing it, so hajj is not complete, or she has to do it but she has the period, then we have a problem, right? Then at that time she cleans herself, she take the bath, and then she can make the tawaf, no problem, inshallah. Okay, so that's because it's a necessity. طبعا the ghusl of hayd, you all know, alhamdulillah rabbil alamin, so you know that one. The difference, I mean, ghusl of haid is the same one, ghusl of janaba, يعني after the intercourse, same. But the difference for the women is that for the haid, she does not have to undo her hair. يعني after the period or after the birth, bleeding, you take ghusl, right? So when you take that ghusl, you don't have to undo your hair. But ghusl of janaba, you have to undo your hair. يعني the ghusl of janaba, you have to undo the braids and all of that.
Macam kondro tu kena buka lah.
Conrad.
Kena buka lah.
طبعا there is difference between some scholars said this undo the hair, some undo that hair. Yeah, that's okay inshallah, and like I said. All right, next one is verses 224 to 225. Respecting the oath and not using it without a need. Respecting oath. Remember when we said you don't use oath left and right?
Respecting the oath and not abusing it.
Not abusing it, yes.
And
Abusing it or not using it without a need, you know.
without meaning.
About your oath. Okay. Now 226 to 227. Explaining the rules of ila. We talked about ila, right? The one who say that will not come close to his wife, they cannot stay more than 4 months. They have to either decide divorce or go back, right? Ila. The rules of ila. Since this is rules, all of it rules, so basically that's just highlighting that this is 226, 227 talking about the rules of ila. 228 all the way to where we stopped today. Number one, necessity of idda. Means idda is a necessity, right? After the divorce, necessity of idda and its wisdom. We talked about that, right? And the wisdom of idda is to give the chance, is to know if she's pregnant or not, is to, you know, yeah. Next, the permissibility of return. رجعة. Yeah, رجوع. مشروعية الرجوع يعني permissibility of رجوع. رجعة means return. And its wisdom. رجوع, yeah. And its wisdom. Okay. رجوع. Same عربي. Emphasizing, number 3, emphasizing the duties and rights of both husband and wife. Emphasizing on the duties and rights of husband and wife. Emphasizing the rights and the duties of husband and wife. Yani Allah Azza wa Jal said, for the women is what they are asked from. And what we ask from women, that we should supposed to give them the same and all that.
The duty of what?
Duties and rights of husband and wife. Clarifying the ruling of khula.
Of ula?
Khula.
Khula.
Khula means the women initiated divorce for compensation. Next, clarifying the number of allowed divorce. 2 times, and the third is like out and all that.
What was that again, sir?
Clarifying the number of divorce. Almost there. Holding with reason or releasing with ihsan. Holding with reason, holding the marriage, yeah, right? Holding with reason, imsak bima'roof, or releasing with ihsan and goodness, means divorce with goodness, ihsan. The prohibition of taking the rules of Allah lightly. The prohibition of taking the rules of Allah Azza wa Jal lightly. So don't joke while divorce and all that, right? Being thankful of Allah's favor upon us. And family is one of Allah's favor. Okay? Being thankful to Allah for His favors upon us. Family is one of His favors. So a person should be thankful that they have a family, that they are part of a family. Next, no marriage without a wali. No marriage without a wali. We talked about that before. I gave you that before, right? Khalas, you don't have to repeat it. You don't have to repeat it. You don't have to repeat it. The Sharia, last one. The Sharia of Allah protects the social structure of the society. The Sharia of Allah protects the social structure of the society, starting with the individual, through the family. Understand that one? The Sharia of Allah protects the structure of the society, starting with the individual, telling us how to be mu'min, believer, have rahmah, all of that, then going through the family relationship to the bigger society. Okay? So that's it. Inshallah, next time we continue when? August? Well, I want to hit another session in Ramadan.
August.
Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen.